Down to the bench, like an Indian bench, so I can sit on it and on the deck and cross the Yes, that's right. Yes, almost. It was what it will become. Yeah, they have come. They have that. Oh, yeah. They come to me. It was just sitting. That's how it was. Yes.
These be cool, man.
He's got aircon. Oh.
Bouncing around. And he's got it. Do you want this bag?
And I'm not sharing it.
I got mine.
All the cool areas.
Do you want this fan? Hudson, you want this fan over there?
No, that's all right. That's good. I've got it.
You're internal aircon now.
Down before it
Maybe. Maybe. And it works in both your rooms. Pulls it all down the kitchen.
I don't think that will cool the kitchen, but I think the problem now we just need a hot day to see how it works.
Yeah, well, yesterday was pretty warm.
Yeah, but the thing is that I finished the installation when it was kind of already.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not I'm hoping for like 40 degrees day. But
But we'll probably have
this is where it's going to be messy.
It's so dusty.
I don't mind. I didn't see it. I think it's probably well, when I plug it in, it's hard. Well, sometimes it works. No, but I think there's something you can see that it's not very yeah.
You had a good day with your mum? Did you get some dresses? No.
I think it was yeah, I think this is where
Oh, she did it in her food.
She said, no, then I can use it. Yeah. And she was
this is where that's true. Interesting.
testimony.
Untitled Geshe, how does his heart is involved in the things of things I say?
His understanding towards all this is undivided by the traces of ignorance. He teaches his employees to person love and love his own son. All creatures caught in prisons of desire, released in the darkness of ignorance.
Overwhelmed by this happy. Yes, it's true.
And the proclamation of the Dharma allows us to stick with our traditions and reasons to be originated in the Dharma.
Whose powerful soul achieves that suffering very responsibly, carrying the weight of darkness of all ignorance. Treat your own Geshe,
Who has created his stages in the last aspect of the Bodhisattva. Who has been your from the beginning,
all
Geshe, all loving one, the release of the wisdom, and then darkness, the nine intelligence wisdom, that only gains time to Buddhist words and texts.
Sanji Chadam Sagi Chawala Chanchu Badi Dami Kazi Jagi Chushi Sana Kala Bish Sanji Chawala Sanji Chadam Sagi Chawala Chanchu Badi Dami Kazi Jagi Chushi Sana Kala Bish Sanji Chawala Sanji Chadam Sagi Chawala Chanchu Badi Dami Kazi Jagi Chushi Sana Sanji Chawala 강기 교재니 송에 따와 던지 방비실 방비춘 된지 거듭 대화 창세로 Good morning, everyone. 그 참 인사를 예봐 라 세븐들이 봐 빼줘 보세요.
Shoktan?
Shoktan 계속 쏘고.
So good. So we're going to pick up from the point that we left off in the previous session. We are looking at being patient with those who would belittle you and so forth as part of reflecting, as part of cultivating the patience that pays no heed to those who cause harm. Is it? Resting pure towards those who wrong you. That's the point. So, being patient with those who would belittle you and so forth is divided into 4 points. We're currently looking at point 6. It's unreasonable to be furious because material gain has been obstructed. We've covered a few verses in relation to that. We're going to pick up from section 3, establishing by means of an example the unreasonableness of craving material gains.
Manam lorja denyoni 7 yo kain ba kanshi yutun te denyoni 7 yo kain ba seba teda nika lawa dewa tene chiome seri sebo nika lawa chiwitene terese.
Sorry, I lost the plot. I lost thought it was. All right, so establishing it by means of an example or analogy that craving for gain is unsuitable. It says, if one is someone who wakes up after having experienced 100 years of happiness in a dream, or if one is someone who wakes up after having experienced only a moment of happiness, for both, when they're awake, this happiness does not return. For both, those of short life or of long will be the same at the time of death.
Seven cubits, Tenicalama, Devatin Chon Melas, Gala Devano, and Tisutuno, Devano, Nisivicum, Tenica Chimon Melas, Tessin to say one that said Tom, Devachim, Nicayans, Chivitina, 10 you something you can save it, never a single resource, 7 resources.
The commentary to this section says, regardless of whether one is someone who wakes up from a 100-year dream in which one experienced happiness, or whether one is someone who wakes up after only a brief moment of happiness in a dream, which means that your dream could be either short or long, in the sense that you might be dreaming of experiencing pleasure for 100 years or just for a brief moment. In both cases, for either, when awake, this happiness will not return. Similarly, whether one has had a long happy life or short happy life, at the time of death, it becomes only a mere memory, and therefore it is unsuitable to crave for gain.
Things that the Junsen Carres Land, the Chapaki research, Nanchutachi Kovi. Longjola Chavaki research and one feel same charming and the research the Yomaris.
It is the case when we look at desire. It is not suitable or it is not logical to become attached to resources of samsara.
Hashimoto Kyochimalayan Droguenza, any Kyochimalayan Droguenza, any Telia Ketuja, T. Kabaya Pentoya, any Kovi Longjunalia, that chick de yomaris, the and Susu Sam Chana, yeah, and the damage shadow was the damage.
It is the case when you think about it. All of us are heading towards next life, and some of us might get to next life earlier. Some of us might get to next life later on. But none of the things that we have accumulated in this life, all those resources and so forth, none of them can go with us to the next lifetime. All of it will be left behind. And therefore, what use is there to becoming attached to those things?
Nyeba seven meri gyuzenis, nyeba mambo top gyurte, yuri tusu de jekya, chombu choba chijen but, jamu lava tombados.
In that sense, those resources are unreliable. So then the next point in the outline, verse 59, comes under the heading of the reasons why craving material gains is unreasonable. It says in this verse, although I may acquire abundant gain and enjoy happiness for a long time, I shall go forth naked and empty-handed, just like having been robbed.
Tarada kadus gichi, ane nyeba mambo kadus, ane toba juba inaya, chik that mitsin dinamala ya chik, yujimbo kadus dewa chekya, ane chiwi tusu, chen dela ya, pigi kaso da chik, betun shu cheche, kali shu gyabche, tusu sama tel tang, mambo shu chik samliya, podul tang, odus cheni, sa shaba thi, ane chiwi negasu, ane chonggong chok cheni, pena kaya meni, rogo wa nangshini checheni, ane chechimala ya, lava tongba chini, ta rugi kiris, ane longju nyeba chigbola ya, ane cha, ane di kyundu, ane metse kanza, tusu tang shaba ina, yewa chimala ya, ane lava tongba doya matawe, kaya lag maris.
This point is so valid in that when you think of whatever gain we have, whatever things we get or accomplish in this life, at the time of death, all those things that we worked so hard in order to secure, with great effort, with great pains, causing pain not only to ourselves, but also to other people, all of those enjoyments will be left behind, and we will proceed completely empty-handed. And how much hard work have we put into getting those things in this life? None of those things will continue with us to our next lifetime. We will go completely empty-handed. Those gains, resources, and so forth, all of them will be in vain.
Demos laundi, tolo chia meba, maranga tawleya, lagoras, or dinti, touch lapatomba, jogi chombaina, the tabku shows and dinti so come join the major chick, and so, and dinti sale, tansha, and show your maris.
It says in this verse, I shall go forth naked and empty-handed. Even the clothes on our body, all of those things that we've accumulated in this life, all of that will be left behind, and we will go completely empty-handed. So what use is there to being attached to them?
Reda, Susu Lapatomba Drogo Mase, Miss Shembalaya. Longele shoes, charging the Tolia, Dungum shoes, and drawing, Miss Shembalayan, Nuachik, Zambalin Coronian, Nuachik, and Child Dos, the Tensang Chalia, that's some Hapotea Chilia, Hajam, Dongum Sata, and if a Chigum Manta, two Chiondigi, and Zambalin Coron. Nyanga shoes gama Kioros, Ramada Sergi, Dongum Chet, Zambalingi, Joash Koran, the Trolla Tanjin, Zambali Lotonda Niati, Lo Gas Mado, Nematuya Sushayoras, the summon Dongong Tom Suros, Tandaji Yagi in Dondo, the Yagi Yadondota, Mamuji, the Yagi, Yahoo Samson, the sorting in Mambu Yoros in the Yagi Remundos, one Samdana.
Not only we will go empty-handed to next lifetime, also while we're alive, not only we develop attachment to the things in our possession, well, we also have that great desire to the possession of others. And on account of having such great desire, we have so many things that we need to do, that we need to do in order to sustain that sense of desire. Not only that, the world around us is full of things that are targeting our sense of desire. We're constantly inventing things that make a sense of desire greater and greater. And in the process of fueling our desire, the world that could have lasted for many more thousands of years to come, since that we inflict so much damage on the environment that we might put everything to waste just within a span of 100 years or so. So we call that progress. We call that making a progress or advancing, developing, and so forth. But when you think about it, when you think of the level of destruction that we bring to the world because of our sense of desire, you can see how not only it is pointless, but it is of great damage.
Tirda, the Susu Mizirinlia and Zambanin Katsutor to Chitor, the Susupu Putuinaya, the Titoriagi, Lobjong Jet, Tilamia, Pesha Roson Tang, Tilichihoras, Tangas Migra, and Dinero City, Chochin Santanata, me legati, the Yamsam Shuchik.
Not only we destroy the world in doing so, but we also teach it to our children. We teach them how to destroy the world, and we also give them money and resources in order to continue doing that. So when you think about it, it's pretty shocking. Let's look at the next section in the text, which is point 5, refuting the reasoning behind spending one's time in material pursuits. So there are 2 verses covered in this section. Let's begin with the first 2 lines in verse 60. These 2 lines read, first of all, stating an opinion. If I were to live due to gain, then I shall exhaust negativities and increase merit.
Reda Nyeba Masana Kanji and Longju Ra Domong Ton Trushabi Longju di the Drurig Mudus Zawni Drurig Mudus Ra Manzo Ranjong Kamgi Ranjong Kamgi Sel Ten Drobaina Teni Irana Pemba Shana Pemba Yungu Sarasra Pena Manzuta Jigse and Seju Yoba Jingse Seju Tindila Madembaina Jigse Ton Droid Sandals and Lulu said Dindi Lajamu Gagoras Inea Manzuchi and Shinada Tindila Neding Ranjong Simjin Mamushuji Serimushu Degoras Sukuto Chimbu Chagore Ko Pigi Inayandi Kangalo Samtana Chikton Ra. The driven Shushu Ganzo and Yorumbuchi 10 to Yagi Nibam Tayomaris Sungo Saristi.
It is possible that we will think along this line. If I were to live due to gain, which means due to material gain, due to resources and so forth, then I shall exhaust negativities and increase merit. So we come up with those arguments, and not only we come up with those arguments, also sometimes we speak about it in ways that are similar to the opinion expressed here. We say that, for example, there are things that exist naturally in the world, and we need to use them in order to remain alive, in order to sustain our body, for example. Without food and so forth, I will not be able to live a long life, and I want to live a long life. So although we come up with arguments such as this, still, when we look at the world around us, we can see that there are living beings, for example, that exist in the forest, in the jungles, and so forth. Some of them also live a very long life without that thought of having to spend one's time in the pursuit of gain and accomplishments and possessions and so forth.
니망아주 자스만의 직조디기 리지간의 틱소라 리지간 틱디기 디기 롱 짱마 슈저리스 아니 롱바 카시기 용니 롱도 꾸마자고리사 디콘즈 딩와니는 미시라 롱 꾸마자고리스 더 수수 롱발이야 아니 지기 망자 아니 지 칼롱 슈 아니 지사 코이 사말로 아니 박수 슈차로
롱코마게 생각하려니 감라든지 추구를
기담는 노션 키로사
A few years ago, we went to Tasmania. I think it was for the first Guru Boom Talk. And during the weekend or after the Boom Talk finished, we had a couple of days of excursions. We went to that tall mountain. What's the name of the tall mountain?
Wellington.
Mount Wellington. Thank you. Mount Wellington, which had...
Punyani.
Sorry?
Punyani is Aboriginal name.
Punyani. Okay, thank you. So we went up to Mount Wellington, and it was very clean and pristine environment with clean air. And someone told Geshe that international tourists sometimes bring small containers and box some of the clean air that you get from Mount Wellington. So Geshe said that it's like stealing some of the clean air in Mount Wellington and taking it away from them. So Geshe said that when you think about it, it's like it's so indicative of how we behave in a way that is somewhat reckless. We come up with those ideas that make us perform all those unnecessary activities.
그래서 등원이 들다 변다가 나 수수롱바산 로숨줄 하스 조거리 로숨줄 하스 콘레야 난조 대사기지 야gün 숨기 대사 지오자는 조거리스 그래서 참을로야 가와 되나야 디 규츠디페 상상자레스 더 단디찰 디 망치야 감샤스 여바데 쪼바차
There's been more than 30 years since Geshe left his homeland. And I remember that in the passing of the seasons, when you look at the flowing of the rivers in the pasture lands where it comes from, the water used to be, first of all, used to flow all year round, but also it had that quality of being clean and pristine. Now, most of those water sources are running dry, and even what remains is polluted.
Tinza danganzu labjab duso jangji susu jang susu pu putule labaina and zambili ya pematona ne kigmarwas ra susu lai pengri tsichmalaya pengri mado and zambili ni gyobu pigilaya zame soyagi samni jortsu senamedu tezo tolayan rosomang shus tanchi ani pugula labdewaina tindi dawsi redasra anzu chujok chunju nyangin chingin jung dewaina tat chola shus redasra.
So now not only we can study about topics like that, but we can also teach it to others. You can teach it to your children so that at least if it doesn't bring about benefit to the world, we will not visit harm on the world, will not inflict further harm upon the world. So it could be helpful in terms of this lifetime, and certainly in terms of future lifetime. So in some sense, you can say that there is a sense of urgency in doing that, passing it on to others, passing it on to the next generation, so that as much as possible we'll be able to reduce the degree of harm that we inflict upon our surrounding.
제가 가디 니비 유중 우선벌 균나 또시 디버세바탄스 소는 페위치 니버드버 차시나스 드들이다 우리 다른 주다다 제와도 저래다.
Looking at Geshe Dhammarincha's commentary, as we said, first of all, there is an opinion that is expressed in the first two lines of verse 60. Geshe Dhammarincha states that in the following way: if I live for a long time due to gain, then in order to purify negativity with the four powers and increase negativity, I shall achieve gain.
지와티스 카세르 단 지단 시위게 대인도 라 지다 남주 롱주 드르치 롱주 아니 롱주 첨부치 서치니 데니 따지 소소이나 베 아니 가서 지 냠네 지야기 안 튕길라 자야 아니 신 아니 냠타 온폰라야 로겨 지야기 딘지기 상로 케니 아니 제바이나 소는 페기로 와서 딘자 아니 롱저 드는 디기도 세로지 도바 딘지로지 라바이나스.
The way that it is stated in English is rather clear, but we can still state it slightly differently in order to make sure that this opinion is expressed clearly. So someone might say that if I accumulate a lot of resources, a lot of enjoyments in this life, I'll be able to use that for my practice. Not only it will be a conducive condition for my practice, but also I'll be able to use it in order to help for those in need, those who are impoverished. I'll be able to use that and through that to accumulate merit.
Tadelia so longe mean doing that and longe koranlia neba mewainza and the teaching on ya dia zawni neba mewajiges ro neba mewajiges.
Since here we're dealing with resources, first of all, we are saying that resources have no certainty whatsoever. You cannot rely upon resources.
Neba another digorda and neba mewaros and huge dubchini sani call legiyemeki and charmatova Terikonda call letu charmatova di zawni neba mewajiges di tinza samludi huge yikten pebebach kechago maresra.
So there's no certainty, there's no guarantee whatsoever with resources, with enjoyments. What will you end up tomorrow? You cannot be certain of that. Let alone what will occur to you tomorrow. You cannot even be certain with respect to what will occur to you tonight. Where will you end up? And being attached, craving resources and so forth, which are unreliable, does not make sense.
Neba meba mase ani tachi keu mambu shoji ani nyebi tendo ani chagdang langchi shenla pento salaya achi mese chagjo mambu shoji chedogoros sonum sabi salaya ani digbat semeba nyeba munta meba drogo yagi ani digbat sayagi nyenga yores.
But not only that, when we consider that from the perspective of having already been born through countless lifetimes in which we have pursued, gain, material resources and so forth, with a sense of attachment and hostility, in the sense that in order to secure gain, resources and so forth, we have harmed others, fueled by attachment. the sense of aggression. We have shedded the blood of others. So we might claim that if I have more, then I'd be able to accumulate merit. It depends upon that. But really, when you think about how we have been dealing with material gain and with resources up until now, let alone having been able to use that for the accumulation of merit, we have accumulated countless negativities, correct negativities on account of our attachment to resources.
텔레파지 에스지 잠샤투바나 당한 단 로디나노레 당한 몬숨 통요라스 페나 롬바디다 칸시데 페나다 민 라브산 두이타 야가 롬바도치 야가 야스 딜리타올야 진다 시방가발야 타페시 로 gas lana hamba satawata lo shivchung abchu nalolya chi ani namkha tsama chi konda sarungi namkhalaya kama thaji chi shani namkhan thoya yabachi lo delama choma nyores ro chinda shivung ava nalolya chi en nasadi thoni me tsama bi susle chi degu chondi ani khamam tsama sanje chan ani thoya chi chores ro
if we can desist from our pursuit after resources, money, and so forth, we can see the immediate impact that it will have on our surroundings. Like, for example, when you look at that from the perspective of what has happened this year with COVID-19, not only in Australia, but when you look also further afield, like, for example, in India, there were reports coming out of India during April and May of being able to see clear sky, being able to see the stars in the city for the first time in so many years. People were forced to go into a lockdown. So of course, things were brought to a stop. And the damage that we have created in our environment became really clear in just having been able to, for the first time in so many years, to have a glimpse, to see the stars, to see the clear sky.
Nibi tendo triggerna sonum diksi kasa sonum sedik mingiram kangi tendo da somba teni kadi nyamgyuna degwan bashi chebayi somba tekuchi shikchas.
Having expressed that opinion, let's look at the remaining of the verse and also verse 61. The response, if I were to get angry on account of gain, will not my merit be consumed and negativities created? If my very life were to degenerate for the sake of that, then what will be use of that, of the life of who commits only negativities?
Kanji mang chishu jiki ani nyepi tendo dikpasaya ji mantobi ani nyemba drupchini digi rangi dikpasaya batan ani shenlaya ani robachini sonam peyasayati pe masibatini ninyung res dikpam bashik sayagi gyula druyagi nyenga yores ani dikpam bashik sabi gyula chimbayna and tse kazu rimbayna ya ani tenda megiros ra sunni ni tenda jemeni ani sombo cham karchi gores ra.
So when you think about it, if you spend most of your time in the pursuit of after gain, resources, and so forth, you'll be spending very little time on developing a positive state. You'll be spending very little time on accumulating merit through activities such as being of benefit to others. So if you're going to accumulate so many negativities and be able to accomplish so little virtue on account of being attached to resources and so forth, what used to be to living long, even if you live a long life and depends upon resources and so forth, if you're going to create a lot of negativities and so little merit, is there really a point? Is there really a purpose in doing it?
제베나 니비 튼도 trouble gyuna kawa tondu sabe sonum sen digba tobo mingyuramte gyuna goba kangi 튼도 da sonbo teni kade dani nyambi kendu gyuna digba bashi chibi sonbo di kodi chishikcha goba medos.
The answer to this argument states, if one gets angry for the purpose of gain, it will exhaust the merits accumulated over 1,000 eons. Does one then not achieve negativity? If so, then what purpose did one's life serve, since it only becomes the condition for one's degeneration? The life where one only creates negativity, what shall one do with it as it is useless?
Shiva, Shen Rangla Mateba Chibi, Chua Mirigwala Nis, Rangla Minimba Mawa, Teba Nyamshi Imbi, Chona, Jana Minimba Mawaya, Chua Rigwatans, Shenla Madebala Sona, Nimuki Kingi, Rangla Madeba, Soribos, Tambo. La minimba mawa tang teba nyamji imbi minimba mawa teba nyamji imbi chona jana minimba mawa ya chowa ribanis.
Looking at the last point in being patient with those who would belittle you and so forth. Point A says it is unreasonable to be furious because others lack faith in you. There are 2 points in that section. As speaking ill of oneself causes one to lose faith in the speaker, it is reasonable to be furious with the act of speaking ill of others. Second point is if one can bear the lack of faith in others, it is reasonable to bear the lack of faith others may not have in oneself due to the afflictions. Let's begin with verse 62. And the first lines in verse 62 read, first 2 lines. Since sentient beings will be awakened, I shall be angry with those who say unpleasant things.
Tirtadi Karisundu Islam, Tsultrim, Chadana Trumata, the Rangla, Shen Rangla Madepa said, Shen Rangla Madeba Chibi, Chua Miripas, Tambutirita, Shen Rangla Madeba Segi, Te Madechik, Kejati, and Namju Nanzu, Teba Kundru Mother Kebati Segi, and Chikavula Tebi, Teba Sage. Di Tebati, Teba telling one's Chigio Maris, that's not the true Mare, Teba telling one's Chigio Maris. Come di Shen Rangla Mateba Shivigi, Rangla Teda Mateki, and Tsulti Gamaga Ranglia Jalgureshas.
Sorry, I should have read it in the following way. Since sentient beings will be weakened, I shall be angry with those who say unpleasant things. So, looking again at the outline, it says, as speaking ill of oneself causes one to lose faith in the speaker, it is reasonable to be furious with the act of speaking ill of others. So here this section is looking at faith, right? Having faith or not having faith. So we have discussed faith before. Often we say that faith is like a mother preceding the development of good qualities. Like, for example, faith in the objects of refuge. So here, rather than discussing faith in the objects of refuge, we look at faith in oneself. But rather than just looking at it in terms of faith and non-faith, Islam reckons that here faith is understood as someone liking you or disliking you.
Kadis Simjin Yamchepi, Minimala Trushinas,
So reading again through the first two lines in verse 62, it says, since sentient beings will be weakened, I shall be angry with those who say unpleasant things. The argument is stated here in Geshe Dhammarin's commentary in the following way. Through it, though it is unsuitable to become angry at the obstacle to gain, I shall be angry with those who speak unpleasantly to me, as it degenerates the faith of my faithful.
Gyönju chivi kalya ta tsamalo tanga tsamalo gawya maros ani magani ta chi khondu sayal soba yomi kalya ani chi khondu lesa samsung gyönsen le yang khondu lesa ko ngala gyönju chivi ku ngala gyönju chivi na ngala gangi mamu chiti magawa chasigri sami so ya thoparo che tindi che so ya minyeba joba de ya shuji and dansu chedya ra sozola magangi chingi de shuji and dambu chej yoras nanzura.
Here Shantideva refutes that anger is appropriate at the time in which you face criticism. So when we are being criticized by others, we often become angry. We don't like it. We become angry when we are criticized. We might think that when we are criticized, anger is a justified reaction because nobody, there are people who like me. And if I'm criticized, if my faults are being pointed out, those people will stop liking me. And therefore, it is reasonable to get angry at the person that is waging criticism at me.
And Karan Kondosago Horas, Gunzin, Tini Chigoredos, and Shana Piggy Chig Minima Jondi could degree Samsung Roach. How do the Chig Susunam Mudosa Jilia, Mishinji Chig, Maridondo Shavana, Telia Gabgur, Gunzin Mania, Gabgurche de la Soba, Nembe Gab de la So, on the Tinichi Horas. The Zola Telecan trouble me, Roach.
If anger is justified in this situation, Shantideva says it will be also justified to get angry when others are being criticized. So particularly think of someone that you dislike. Not only you do not find the criticism that they face as being unreasonable, often we support that criticism. Even if it doesn't relate to us, even if we have nothing to do in a particular situation, we still offer support to criticism that is being waged against someone that we dislike. And often we tend to participate. We add some more criticism, more pointing out faults if we dislike that person. So if you think that it is justified to get angry at someone who criticizes me because that will make other people dislike me, just as well you should resent and get angry at criticism that is waged at another person, even if that person is someone that you dislike.
Chobal Juba, Yassi Chanju Simbi, Chobal and Juins. Kanji Chonju Jan Sanamazana, Gassi Chanju Simbi, Chobal and Juins Lavoras, Gassi Chanju Simbi, Chobal di Jean Cheban Zimbi, Chinzing Sound of Tony, Shane Cheban Zimbi, Samat Jangoras, Tinza, Kanji, Lunga Yi Sumki, and Choba Sambu Dile, ya Yewan Tronita. Jangi Yogo Rostera. T any Lunga Yisungi, Joba Sambudelia, Yon Trauma to Waina, and it Jonju he said the Demachi, Jang to the Kalaka Shuchra. Tinza loves it dozo, and Soso Rania, Love Yabati, Soso Rania, Sungu Yabati, so Tahoch left to na. Teni ani chik nam gyundeng ki sosu ki sosu maga satili ya ani mission ki kyunju chidi ki chik gawa gomde ya soba ta chik sosu maga satili tes chik mantik na lamsan di nesu ti chik shenla pa kyabel chidi ya soba ta nga zu mi ki sam nama na ya dra mada che joros tuzo tsawa nini mogo ya chik dindish redos.
These trainings are particularly important to us. We should really approach this section of the text carefully. For those of us who study and practice Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, the subject matter of Shantideva's text is the training in the Bodhisattva conduct. And this is what we train at the moment, so we should really approach that carefully. We should really approach that carefully because if we want to train our mind in the conduct of bodhisattvas, what we need to do is to discard our attitude of cherishing ourselves and to develop an other cherishing attitude. So if we should really take it seriously to reduce our own sense of self-cherishing and to develop an attitude of cherishing others, we should really be looking carefully at the way that we react to certain situations. We should think that Shantideva is talking to me. What Shantideva says here is particularly addressing me, myself, the one that is practicing the Bodhisattva conduct. And therefore, looking at ways that we normally react to a certain situation. For example, when someone that we dislike is being criticized, we like it. If something bad happens to someone that we dislike, we feel quite good about it. So really, we should be careful about our attitude if we want to take our Bodhisattva training seriously. So this text is speaking to us, and we should really look at our behavior and address it as much as we can.
Sosu dabutya matu ngichiki meshingi semliya ani tanzin chesedi solju gyasedi kabu peros tusyedigi chonju tam jangondigi tambo ransani and sosu sani ani kanyun jion kan tutu chegoedi nengaredos ra penata tas ransala sujar kodas ransala sujjandi and sosola jar and soso in nesagi sachala and gombala and chik and roba penzo tu slia samtan drawina and teneba and capchimich yon to gross ra mado soso dan sosu chila yoga tan chik tzu and ko kanjin toya and draw and me shambajle chik shedevan
It is an important point because in studying this material, we might be then thinking that my goal now is to bring great benefit to others. But without taking care of our mind, if we think that we're going to be able to be of great benefit to others, without correcting a mind, without changing a mind, we're not going to be able to do that. We first of all need to apply our own mind to the process of transformation. And if we want to be of great benefit to others, first off, we need to begin with those who are around us, those who are close to us. So we first of all look at our own mind. We correct our mind. We start to bring some benefit to those around us. We treat them in a better way. And slowly we can increase that more and more. So it is a really important point to take those, to take the Bodhisattva practices in a practical way. Because if you neglect those around you, not only if you neglect them, if you treat them harshly and you still think that my aim is to be of great benefit to others, you're not going to be able to do it, to accomplish that, if you do not begin with your immediate surrounding.
Tirda Ginza Tanganzu Tapin Sajadelia Nichi Sajadelia Deji Anichi Mishanapa Pentangas Del Ruruchi Dedi Namzu Mishanapa Anichi Namasanji Chuchi Chuzachi Junju Dachi Shushia de Waras. The D Adonganzu Nano T Suzuki Chimatuina, and Mission Sheni, D. Pento, yes, and Kabu Shuja was teacher, Tangi Karshi was not, Kanji Kaduna, and it's some Shuchibu town, Digi, lesser Dodi, Sosugang Legos, Nanzu Didi, and Nunjimo the Mevania, T. P. and in Chambu Tumbuchi, Doctor Chigdi Checheni. And drawing any Ganzu Digi the Dembachingurilla, Miss Shambalaya, Pendoche to Yagi, Nubachi Ganzu Tende Yungres. Ra Timaton Ganzu, Pigi, Manzu Perlia, Page Gerta, Manzu Perla Peti, Draw Sejura, Drawnala, Yagra Rakochin, Chusawina, Susu Sapa Yande Remother, Suchi Nimuchin Dejiomares.
Drawasana the
Drawasana Tanda Beck. Rago Kashi Kionero, Beck Nam Luena, but young Dedera, Susu Sapa, Chapushu in Dera, Tizo the Chawena, Dozachi Mares. The Bennett and its chick say Yabo, Drury Doji Luena, Tama Ruru Chechen, and it Mamushu Shoyachita, Tilichagora. These are the Chiyomares. Yag Rago the Begna Chuksha Rechevana. Any Tenda Drumars like that. Hakosa.
Pleasure. What Geshe means to say is that when we look at this place, like for example, this center, if we have that idea that it'd be good for people to become Buddhists, to practice Buddhism, to be of benefit to others, it is so important to do it. It's so precious. Shantidava's guide to Bodhisattva way of life is so precious, it's so important. But we don't really apply it to ourselves. We don't use that in order to transform the way that we behave. We're not going to be able to be of great benefit to others. So we start small. In terms of our community, we're small in number. But still, we want to make sure that at least when we apply this teaching to ourselves, that we become supportive of each other, that we care for each other, that we maintain a greater degree of harmony between one another. If we are able to do that, then we'll be able also to extend the benefit to others in a way that is much greater and more effective. Otherwise, if we don't do that, it's like there's a saying in Tibetan, Geshe was trying to explain what this saying is saying. So it's like filling a sack with yak's horns. So if you have a big bag, a sack, horns, and you fill it with yak skulls, with the horns that are pointing outwardly. You're not going to be able to use that for any beneficial or helpful thing, or you're not going to be able to accomplish anything with that. You can pack food, provisions, or other helpful things in that bag, and you can arrange it quite nicely so that many helpful things will be able to be contained. But if you just fill it with yak horns, that all of them are pointing upwardly and jamming pack the bag, you get no benefit from that. So not being supportive of each other, not caring for each other, And still, speaking of the importance of Buddhism and Shantideva's guide to Bodhisattva way of life and the Bodhisattva behavior, would be just like filling a big bag with skulls of yaks with horns that are pointing upward.
Terida, Taini and Nitangan lose Lago Martas, Be Masiva, Dosa Chipi. The Yevasra, Kazina Kazinazo, Tananagi, Bendu Kunda Tola, to start in Garan Katab Narahako, Ringala Kazus, and Jigo, you made the Narahakores, in any Kajet on the Jaran Samalogi, Haldun the Chick, and uninsolving money, and the bed, and the capture shoes, and the chibi piggy, and the changutia, Tan, young, and the gear sosuni, and Duruchi, Tanjin, Kanji, Tandi Chalaya Nanzo, and the Penduchubding, Kunda Yonsoba, T. Tolaya, and the Pebe Pemanjoni, and the Tribune on shoot, then a Meladeba. The Kunda Chansan Shayagi, Nanzo Tuzu di Mekangalo Natsetone, Kalikawshu Chardin, and Nanzo Delia, Chansan Bedi, Dundretching is in our Zonsons. Tingan daughter children the thanks some you to the denny. Chungi Abadi, Geshe Yadam rest love children.
Having said that, Geshe is not suggesting that this is the situation. Actually, we are a cohesive community. Particularly when we look at this current point in time, in which the world outside is experiencing great difficulties, still we're helping each other and managing together to accomplish some great tasks, great projects. Like, for example, something that is close to Geshe-la's heart, the Nalanda Master's Garden. So you know that Geshe-la this thing is close to Geshe-la's heart, and people came together to help that vision come to pass. So, for example, the nuns community came together and made a great contribution to that. Also, individuals made great contributions to that as well. We have been able to accomplish not only the funding for the 17 Pandits of Nalandas, but also for a Guru Rinpoche statue and a statue of the great Tibetan yogi, the great Siddha Milarepa. So all of that was accomplished in a really short span of time, which is also indicative of how cohesive our community is, being able to support each other, to care for each other, and to achieve a goal as a community. So having said all the things that Geshe said just a few minutes ago, it's not indicating that we do not support each other, that we do not help each other. We are, in fact, a cohesive community.
Re inza nganzu ruru chen tu chen kanji anzu kang sambati ndrungye do chigdos dia telaya güç gormado gügenç gormado gügen menan drüve yo maros inza gügen zu di di gomba de no shunginki anji gendem banda suman namba chetanki ani chan Tsultrim zangma ani chik dosa chik ji tinti chik yobayna ani manzu dilana liya ani choshoki ani chawa khanda chik pebayna ya nge samna chansan drup thugres ro ani manzu di mebayna teni kala kawa shujres ro.
Whatever we set to accomplish in our community, which is cohesive, it depends upon cause and conditions. Cause and conditions are needed for whatever we're trying to do. Without those cause and conditions, whatever we try to accomplish will not come to pass. So we have here a community of people. We have monastics who, as much as they can, try to guard the vow in a pure and clean way. We also have others that come together to assist and partake of the projects that we're developing. And together with that, with supporting each other, with caring for each other, we'd be able to accomplish that. Without which, not going to be able to, we would not have been able to accomplish any of those things. And since we've already started to speak of those issues, Geshe wanted to add another point, which is we know that Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche holds statues and the like, those representations of body, speech, and mind to be so precious to his heart. And quite a few years ago, he came up with a new idea, a new wish to replace the 1,000-time Chenrezig statue that we have here, to have a statue that is better and nicer and so forth. So it is a project that has been many years waiting in the list. So this is also something that Geshe is hoping and is asking, that we help as much as we can, whatever support, whatever help we can offer to fulfilling Lama Sopa Rinpoche's vision. Of course, that would be great.
Ani sanji kosun tuki yonde magomba, ani sanji salaya, droyagi, gyusaya mundas. Gyusaya, gyutatubadi, gomya de dos, hagu gomya. That hagu gomya da, hagu shayanilaya, Nesam keba mundos, keba mundos. Tinzang anzugi, chetangi pigi, chetang kujimaras, pavachiris slaundi. Ani sanje tamjigi tuki, ani zao ninji chimbo chochi domni, la shajawa, tindiji chagor montobi, shamba tagas, rumu soraji, zao in the remodos, tinza tat tinji chilaya, ani suzunguni, ani chik zeda masuno tani, shambayana, tigi rangi gulaya, ani inji chimbo kibigi, sabe gacha gatamba. We
approach our development in combining both Sutra and Tantra. From the point of view of Tantra, from the point of view of mantra, what we take up in our practice is a deity meditation. Without meditating on the qualities of body, speech, and mind of a deity, we will not be accumulating the causes for giving rise to the qualities of body, speech, and mind of Buddha. So we need to meditate on such deities as Chenrezig. In Geshe's mind, meditating on Chenrezig or constructing an image of Chenrezig are the same in that there's no difference between them. And when we speak about Chenrezig or Avalokitesvara, it's not just a statue. Chenrezig is the embodiment of all the loving care of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions. So all of it appears as a deity, as Chenrezig. So it's not just a painting. And that being the case, then whatever we contribute to that, Geshe feels that is participating in planting seeds in our mind stream for the development of the qualities of body, speech, and mind of Chenrezig.
그게 가주순 좀 초반에 딘티질에 미미 먼저 셀라 피아치 셀라디 단데 조부지기 그런 동배진지기 그런 여자기야 아니 그런 그 서로지 디냠도 아니 니게 안 칼라 서로체이스 디 미기다 지 먼저 참말로야 안 추조기 게두리 추조는 제위기 아니 칠로리 미리 순대지 패브네야 니마티니 모델이야 아니 셀라피 디기다 토니 아니 지 라라 소소기 젠지지 콘다 샤얀 토리야 셴데비직 로 셀라라 르마고고 마레스 이제 아니 답변의 칠로즈래야 아니 니고 칼라지 세븐 조선 친구 들어도스 디 쳬디 젠지지 추조노요 안 추조 셀라비치 디 콘다 샤얀 토리야 담바이나 아니 지 로자타 몽불이야 아니 롬반 딘나노야 네데엑치 로 펜도요가 창도스 어딘지치야리 디토리아 만 상물로 로 먼저 미치기 키르스 마르스 미치기 치 마르스 로 누망보지리아 미 데자 디토리아 슈갸로치스 디치라미냐 토스 로
Then that vein, Geshe thought of adding another thing. Since funds are needed for constructing a new Chinrezig statue, Geshe came up with the idea of cooking a community meal once a month. So having like a supporters of Chinrezig Day, that I just made up that name now, but kind of every month, a day in which Geshe will cook food for everyone. Someone is going to contribute the resources, the money for the ingredients, but Geshe is going to be the cook, cooking momos and so forth. And so then, not only it will be for the community here, but also from people that will come from the outside. So whatever, so Geshe is going to be the cook. Dilaimba.
ini ten tamadilenge momo say
La.
Ten tamadilenge momo say
They chikloi. Yeah. Geshe is not Geshe is not committed to making momos every time, but at least it's going to be the first time. No, so the first meal is going to be made of momos, consists of momos. So everyone is invited also, of course, students here from Chinrezig Institute are invited. But also other people, whoever wants to come and have some food, they're invited to do that, and it's based on donation. And all the proceeding from that will go towards the Chinrezig statue. So think about it. Sometimes you go out, you have a meal out. How much money do you spend on that? So we're going to have community meals once a month provided for people, and based on donation, and the donations, all of them will go towards the Chinrezig statue. And we hope to be able to accomplish that project and for the statue to remain here for hundreds of years to come. And the benefit that will be gotten by a project like that is not trivial. If you think of having a statue of Chinrezig here for so many hundreds of years to come, it will certainly bring tremendous benefit.
Tirda ngejedo mantrado da inya kansinata nandu chozo dichedo pena nilo sogo lamga sogo andindi tholiya ji sosozo shendevri pyotuna yago peyores kansana nandu chozo di chozo shembata mandrachik ro chozo mambu shuji me gerba chiki chagores ro me gerchik pena mesanchik solchik me gerchik dawan chade digi and di chik zavi chozo di getu yong pigile ya chik chashi le ya me de yorochik manzu chozo di chokpa ranginza chokmin chamalo ya ani chozo ki nalo ya chik samso de ya ani chik soso zuju cheyagi topdan 창상진도 왔어. 깝깔한 감수 됐지. 찬딩망디 연구하더니 자위 찬이 야곱베레다스 미스이는 대용체니 소소는 이거였나 내가 제 적은도 남주 된 적은도 디야고 쇼지로 왔어 이러 미 게르바지기 임바이나 그게 게르바 코란기 땅진 친데기리 엔 신데브트나 테스텔레리 디마테나 아 슈슈 조사요 말았어 먼저들이 참은도 라 참은거기 소소소 삼주된 소소소 이거였나 내가 지쳐요. 덥다. 상의요. 특별 맛을 야구래서.
And of course, we're doing some other things. We have other projects happening at the moment at Chimrezik Institute. We are going to install a solar system here on the roof. We are improving the roads and so forth. And all of those things require resources. So of course, if you can contribute to those projects, please do so. Don't hold back. And we have to keep in mind that we're working and growing up as an organization from a grassroots level. We work on a community level, which is somewhat different to many other Buddhist centers around the world. You have many other Buddhist centers or organizations that run in a structure that is similar to a family household or to one individual, in the sense that it is a close. Many Buddhist centers are either established by one person. They are the deciding powers. They are the running power, the deciding factors, or that might be run by a small group like a family. So there's not much room for input or participation that is coming from the outside. If offerings are being made, then you take them. You say touch the lid. But if offerings are not made, then whoever runs those Buddhist centers or the organization, they can still keep going. We do things differently here. We are more of a community-oriented organization, and we have room for people to come and contribute in whatever way they can, either in doing actual work, in coming up with suggestions and comments and new ideas and so forth. So as such, we work as close community from a grassroots level.
텔디즈다 간지 최종될이야 직 제투바나 디 아니 직 소바랑기 톤 데데아마도 미직 케드야서 딘지 간지예요 말았어. 인 균툰로 아니 디그로스 딘디질이야 미바이나 아니 소소비 고무직 땅마디 로맘 슈지글이야 펜도요 되겠지. 라 딘디 차기도 왔어.
And as such, the benefit that we get in that process is shared by the community, rather than having one person that reaps the benefit or the profit and they proceed or go on. The benefit is for the whole community as a whole. So please, in whatever way you can, continue to support our activities.
That is just the Kazin Kosura, Tanda Nantu Bendigogi, and Geshe today Rabdin Sugar, and Kong, and Chiglomba de la Shuyagi, Choching Tolaya, Kangatigio Sares, Konda Kong, Sunjunikalo, Tenzada, the Nansamolaya, Deoyo Devach, and Nansu Tony, Shambaki Chia Madini, Kanji, and those Chochen Tozo, and the Chosore. Lama Sobaruchire, and Gishilare, Togonan Shingi, and Chosen Raya Tolaya, and Gamjuta, Mulam Jaguadi, near Kitchenwood Tonsons.
Another thing that Geshe wanted to bring up is the situation of the Geshe and the translator at the Bendigo Center. So currently they are experiencing great difficulties in securing a visa both for Geshe Refuting and for his translator that have been there for quite a few years. So it is a Buddhist center. It is part of Lama Sopa Rinpoche's organization, the FBMT organization. So please keep them in mind. Make supplications, make requests, make aspirations, so that they'll also be able to stay at Bendigo and continue to participate in their activities for the welfare of others.
Repena, that the Nesambala, Australia, Lombardi Nanola Yachi, Lama Geshe Kazus Mambuchi, tend to shoot to Vaina, Loma de la Pengri Sangutus. Tenzatachi 아니 드니지비 로정아 주정이 니슈 콘이야 아니 라마기시 순다지 페바이나야 디스탑 데부로치 단지 잘래 딱깔 칼칼 로요자 강 여버디 아니 주름부치 슈투야 돌이야 마음 자고야디 닌 기치모를 통소스라.
In Geshe's mind, if we have Geshes that can stay here permanently for a long time, Australia or the Buddhist community in Australia will get a greater and greater benefit. About 15 years ago, it was easier, but it seems that now with the visa regulations changing every so often, it's becoming harder and harder.
된점지나로 치스라 직전에서 있는 투서조스터 사인하니.
So please continue to make prayers for their sake, make supplications, requests, aspirations, so that they're also going to be able to stay with us. So having said that, since we are out of time today, we will continue with the teaching tomorrow. So let's dedicate the virtue that we have accumulated. Put prayers on screen. De nyodo da lama sangye do wachi yamalo ba de samago ba shu chache sancho
럼보치 마디 마무지 제반에 밤에 고네 고네 배와 슈 고에 신간데 벤단데와 만루조베 제베세와 대생경서 샤베세데 바두 쟁교지 장신 장근자웨 대지 교배웨 공소교보제 조송고웨 대만주조 아자서주시 공두샤대주조. Thank you.
Jadi sung lah.
Yaki mau kan?
Lelora. 내가 하루 컨트롤 앞에서 되게 많아. 한 정도 생각 봐. 내가 그저 돈을 줘.
I think I actually also need to have something to eat. You know, just you get an allergy or just anyway, I'm going to go and have peanut.
Not bad one. I think love it. He's not worried. No.
Sorry, so we're going to be doing this teaching class again.
So I think they do. And maybe, yeah, that's right. It could be watch. Not like London, so that's right. I saw it yesterday. It wasn't, yeah.
So apparently in Bendigo, if,
I heard,
they might have to live within.
30 days or something.
That's
What?
crazy.
In days.
Yeah, if you're not going to get any the
Bridging.
visa now, they're going to have to live within 30 days.
30 days.
Like,
It's pretty bloody rude.
Yes, you
It's
wrote
very
down the
ruthless.
translator.
yeah.
What are you going to do? Say, just leave the country. We don't care where you go as long as you're not here.
Yeah.
That's cruel.
That's what they're doing time and time again.
It's so cruel.
Oh my gosh. So where are they going to go though? They're going to be allowed to go back home?
See what I mean?
Probably not.
That's kind of weird, isn't it? That's kind of.
Are you going to want to go to India at the moment?
Well, no, but they probably wouldn't even as citizens at the
I
moment.
know. Well, that was the
Because
same
there's
with
even
Margot's
flights.
situation too. You know, which is-
But I mean, apart from that, it's just kind of
So
But
with
what
Geshe,
about
with
India?
Geshe Tsultrim, last time when it was knocked back, there was some further process. So presumably they're going through some.
I hope so, but you never know.
I know it's got
And
tighter
at
and
this time,
tighter and
yeah,
tighter.
and
and
at the
tighter.
moment, it's even
Yeah.
more